Birthing Harmony. Phytobiophysics Birthing Harmony is a package of 10 little formulas, flower formulas, made from the phytobiophysics flower formulas and combinations of these flower formulas to support you during the time that you're having a baby. Having a baby is one of the most natural things that happens in modern society, in life, and for thousands and millions of years, women all over the world have been having babies. Of course, most people know, midwives and doctors and specialists and mothers and families all know that to have a baby naturally is by far the most beneficial and best way of bringing a little baby into the world. Having a baby naturally can be very uncomfortable and very unpleasant in some ways, but also extraordinarily spiritual and very, very important and special for your baby. These 10 little formulas have been created to work right the way through the entire sort of process of having a baby. We start with number 1, which is called emotional harmony. And this little formula is made from the flower formula 2, white rose, recovery. This is a formula to support you emotionally, and we often advise you to start taking this formula approximately a month before your baby is due. The second formula is called contractions. And contractions actually start usually about 4 or 5 days before your baby comes. These are called Braxton Hicks contractions. And they occur as little muscle contractions and little spasms. And often mothers think, oh my goodness, the baby's coming. And usually it indicates that the baby's getting ready, but there's usually a 3 to 4 day process of these little mild contractions. And when you start your contractions continually, then of course the second formula is very, very valuable. Towards the end of the contractions, they get a little bit painful, and our third formula is called pain. Pain supports the contractions and helps you to cope with them. And these little formulas can just be put into a glass of water during the time that you're having your baby, because sometimes it's not particularly conducive to suck a little ball, but you can. Or they can just be put into a water, or your husband can put them in a little spray and spray them on your forehead. And this is also a lovely way to take these formulas. They can be added to the current formula that you're already taking, so that, in fact, if you're putting the pills into water, you just add the next one. The fourth formula in Birthing Harmony is called transition, and this is a very complex time. It's often the time when women get very grumpy and start swearing and thrashing about because it's very confusing. Transition is the time between contractions and the pushing. And of course that takes us to the next formula, which is called pushing. Pushing is a very, very interesting time. And these formulas are not just for the birth, they can be used afterwards as well. Pushing is made with flower formula 19, and that's the formula for the large intestine meridian and for the colon. And after having a baby, you can often feel really quite sore. So this formula can be used to help with a little bit of constipation post having the baby. The next of the formulas is called cutting the umbilical cord. Babies come. Cutting the umbilical cord is number 15. And this is an important formula because this is the sugar bowel, it's the pancreas, it's for the navel and the umbilical cord. And cutting the umbilical cord is a very complex moment for women. It's generally been considered that it's valuable to leave the umbilical cord and the baby attached to the umbilical cord until the umbilical cord stops pulsing. And recently, a nurse, a midwife, won a Nobel Prize for her wonderful work involved with ensuring that the cutting of the umbilical cord does not take place for at least 5 minutes until after the pulsing has stopped and the baby is settled. This is interesting because the umbilical cord and the placenta are full of stem cells. This ensures that the baby gets a fully qualified level of stem cells. The interesting thing about this is that many of the doctors have never really taken this into consideration, but recently, of course, with this wonderful Nobel Prize winning midwife, we all realize that this, of course, is terribly, terribly important. The next formula is called releasing the placenta, and this is the one that the midwives really love. Releasing the placenta is an interesting formula. It's made up of a combination of flour formulas, number 1, number 12, and number 20. And these formulas combine to ensure that the placenta is released as a whole. Many midwives think that this is rather a special formula because they turn around to give you an injection, and by the time they've given you the injection, well, by the time they've got the injection ready, you've already released the placenta as a whole, and this is very, very important. Leaving some of the placenta in the uterus can cause toxic shock and make you very sick, so it's very important that this process occurs extremely naturally. Then after this, we have the most beautiful little formula, and this one is called healthy lactation, breastfeeding. Yet again, this is something that is important for babies. They need to be breastfed, but actually it can be very, very tricky. And for women who want to breastfeed but can't, for whatever reason, that can be very distressing. And so this is quite a special formula because it's very comforting and soothing for the mother, regardless of whether she is or isn't breastfeeding. The last two formulas in birthing harmony are important as well. They're called pethidine and epidural. Now, of course, we've said that having a natural birth is vital, but in modern society, there are procedures that save lives. One of them is epidural. It's often necessary, if things go wrong, for you to have a sudden need for a cesarean, or you might be in excruciating pain, in which case pethidine and epidural both can be very, very helpful. The pethidine is hydrochloride, and the flour formula 8 is our anesthetic stabilizer or antidote to anesthetic. And so flour formula 8 is a very important formula to support the release of the anesthetic. However, I need to tell you that flour formula 8 uplift is our wonderful rosemary formula, which is supportive of emotion. This is a very exciting little formula because it doubles up as an antidote to anesthetic, but it also helps if you suffer with postnatal depression, which can be quite common in modern society. It's very important that the mother is taken care of because this is a precious time in your life. Finally, our epidural antidote is flour formula 2, which is a very high vibration formula, ultraviolet, and it's used for stress and anxiety and for shock, and it also helps to eliminate the chemicals that trap in the spinal cord, i.e. epidural, which is of course a type of spinal block. But this is a very interesting formula as well, because sometimes having a baby can be quite traumatic. And so this doubles up, not just as an antidote to epidural, but also to support when there's been a trauma. All of these formulas can be used safely during the birth. They are flour essences used to coat little sugar balls. They are combinations of our fetal biophysics flour formulas, and they've been created in a very special way to support you throughout your birth and afterwards as well. Pain speaks for itself. That's the third formula, I think. And that, of course, is very obvious. And contractions are very interesting as well, because contractions can be taken after the birth to strengthen the muscles of the abdomen and to heal them up after your tummy has been swollen. Emotional recovery, the first one, of course, is very fabulous as well if there's emotional sadness after having the baby or if there's been a tragedy, or if the baby's not well, or if baby has to be taken away and put in an incubator. These are very, very special, these formulas, because they've been specially created to help you through this really, really important time. One more thing about birthing harmony and natural birth is that, of course, it's a great gift to your baby because each stage of birth stimulates different brain hormones. And these are the hormones that are also supported by the different flour formulas throughout this period of your time and also this little pack. We've had thousands of babies born with birthing harmony, and it's very, very exciting that most of the reports have been very, very favourable. Even the midwives love birthing harmony. They're quite happy about it and they love it because they want to support you as well. So this is a valuable formula.